Right, so this is lesson 1.1, Intro to Measurement. So in science class, we use the metric system, which we call the SI system as well. So here we do have an image of a metric ruler. And when we have that word metric ruler, oops, sorry, my hand kind of slipped on my iPad, metric ruler, all they're referring to is just using centimeters. Um, and on our typical rulers that we used probably as little kids, we saw that one side has the inches, the other side has centimeters on it. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. So up here we do have millimeters and centimeters. Notice that you have this and this, milli and centi. Those are two different prefixes that we have in front of our base unit of meters, right? A meter has no prefix in front of it, is considered a base unit for length, okay? So let's just practice right now. So I'm going to change the color of this. All right, so this right here, if I go from here to here, notice that would be my 0 point. That's 1 centimeter. Okay, so that's 1 centimeter of length. At this halfway point, right, what's half of 1? Well, you'd write it 0.5 centimeters. And then what's particularly interesting, right, this relation between centimeters and millimeters, you would have 0.1 centimeter, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Then again, you'd have that halfway mark where we already labeled 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. And then notice we don't actually get to 10 because 10 for us is just 1.0 centimeters, okay? Each of these little marks right here, these little notches, those represent 1 centimeter. Excuse me, 1 millimeter, sorry. So these little notches all represent 1 millimeter, okay? But if you look at this piece of the ruler, we're saying that in 1 centimeter, we actually have 10 millimeters, okay? So we can actually count those little lines, and we would notice that there are 10 little notches. Those little notches represent our millimeters, and there are 10 of them in exactly 1 centimeter, okay? Also here, as you can see, we do have the fractions. We know that 1 millimeter, right, is just 1 over 10 centimeters. So if that came out in fraction form, or a decimal form rather, you have 0.1 centimeters. And we kind of already spoke about that. Same thing with 5 millimeters, you would end up with 0.5 centimeters, and 10 millimeters, as we just said, is 1 centimeter. Okay, so you do see that relation between millimeters and centimeters. In fact, in a meter thick, right, and I will change the color of this. So 1 meter, in exactly 1 meter, you have 100 centimeters, and you would have 1,000 millimeters, okay? That prefix milli right here, I'm sorry, I keep drawing kind of funny. This milli, the base word is mil, right? If you speak Spanish or Italian, you know that's representation for 1,000. Centi, again, kind of that language connection. Cien is 100. Okay, so keep that in mind. So in just 1 meter thick, I have 100 centimeters, and we can actually count that. Likewise, we have 1,000 little notches, which represent our millimeters. So now if we look at this next example, how do we actually measure, right? If I gave you a ruler on a test and I asked you to measure certain lines, this is how I would expect you to do this. So if I'm looking for A, right, I would go, is it between 1 and 0 and 1? No, right? It's a little bit bigger than that. So I would go from 0 to the line. And we notice that my whole number centimeter is 1. Now we just count the number of little lines we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 1.5 centimeters. Okay? And you do that for each time. You're just seeing how many whole centimeters you have. Then you're just counting the little notches. And remember, those represent 0.1 centimeters for each one. So it could be 2.3 or 2.4 or 2.5, whatever it goes up to. So let's take a look at B, right? So I go from 0 to B. So we notice that my base is 2, and then I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I get 2.9 centimeters. Okay, and we did this in class, but this is exactly what you'd be doing each time. you're just counting the number of lines. Okay, so the step one, you look for the whole number centimeter value, and then step two would be count the number of little notches, since they only they represent 0.1 centimeters each. Okay, and other than that, that's pretty much how you're going to measure in this class, from the beginning to the end.